everyone today. I see a lot of familiar faces over this way. FRMs represent, thank you, from AstraZeneca and from DSI, our partners. Hi, guys. So I have the privilege of kicking off our first 15-minute rapid fire session. So I'm going to do that. Before we get started, I am so excited to be here. We've been waiting for this moment. I think the pandemic threw us a curveball, but I just want to say congratulations to Melissa and also to Elizabeth and the rest of the team, because it's a fantastic event. It's a fantastic group of individuals gathered here today, and I look forward to talking to all of you. So what I'm going to do is spend a little bit of time talking about AstraZeneca. So I'm going to share with you who we are, what's important to us, and then what we do to innovate to support patients. And so your role is really important to us as we innovate and continue to move things forward and enhance our programs to support patients better. So we will go ahead and get started. I'm Alexis Slater. I lead strategy at AstraZeneca for the patient support offerings in the US. So that's all of the portfolio. That's both specialty and primary care products. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's important to AZ and then how we approach supporting patients and innovating. So we can go to the next slide, which I think is something I will do. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right, so a little bit about AstraZeneca. So we're a global organization. We have different markets in the globe where we provide medicines to patients. The United States is actually our largest market in terms of our global presence. And we have 2 key offices in the United States. Our US headquarters is based in Wilmington, Delaware, so a lot of our teams are up there. We also have offices in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and in Gaithersburg is actually one of our 3 strategic global sites for research and development. So a lot of the work to develop the products, a lot of our scientists are actually based in Gaithersburg. Also based in Gaithersburg is our Access 360 program. Many of you may know about this program. It's our patient support offering, so we help advocates such as yourselves and doctors' offices and patients who have been prescribed AstraZeneca medicines navigate through the process. And obviously we want to help them to get on the medicines as quickly as possible, and we also want to make sure that they can afford it. So that's something that we actually do within Gaithersburg. It's really great. We have our contact center there. It's an internal operation to AstraZeneca. We have a couple of hundred individuals, and what they do is they talk to patients and providers every day on the phones. They talk to many of you on the phones, and once that prescription is written for one of our medicines, we're available to help, and I'm going to talk to you about those support offerings a little bit more in a few minutes. So as you can see on the slide, we have a large national sales force. We had field reimbursement managers. Many of them are here with us today. And their role is actually to work very closely with the sales team and the offices to help patients navigate through the process once a prescription's been written. So these field reimbursement managers are really critical to our specialty medications and supporting those patients. So we have them in place for our respiratory and immunology products as well as our oncology products. You don't typically see a field reimbursement manager out there working with more of a retail or primary care product. Rather, they're working with the specialty products that are very complicated and often high price. One of the things I'm super excited about, and I love working at AstraZeneca for this reason, we have 30 medicines in the United States that are available to help patients. So as I mentioned before, these are both considered primary care or retail type products all the way through to specialty products. And so this is something we really hold at the core of everything that we do within Access Services. Our job is all about the patient and supporting the patient and helping them get on therapy and stay on therapy. So it's something that I'm very passionate about, the rest of the team is passionate about, and as you can see, we have the opportunity to help and to support millions of patients every year across the US, which is huge for us. Okay, so a little bit about our strategic priorities as an organization. As you can see here, we want to be innovative and accelerate that innovation around science. You'll hear me talk a lot about innovation over the next couple of minutes and how we do that. Obviously, we have, as I mentioned before, multiple therapy areas for medicine. So we also want to grow in those therapy areas and make sure that we can bring more medicines to patients. And I'll talk about that in a second. And then finally, we really want to be a great place to work. This is something that's important to me. Obviously, I've been at the organization for almost 10 years. It is a great place to work. We lead teams and we want them to feel like it's a great place to work, and so that's something as an organization I'm very proud that we focus on and we have as one of our 3 strategic priorities. But just a little bit about accelerating innovation and science. So we want to help and we want to bring medicines more quickly to patients. We want to accelerate doing that wherever we can. So we do that through partnerships, we do that through different types of scientific technology, and we're always looking out there to see what is that new scientific innovation that's going to help us to bring the medicines more quickly to patients. To talk a little bit about our therapy areas and how we want to grow those. We have an oncology therapeutic area within AstraZeneca. We also then have a cardiovascular, renal, and metabolic therapeutic area. And then third and finally, we have respiratory and immunology. So those are our three kind of core areas. And as I mentioned before, we have field reimbursement managers out in the field supporting on the oncology side and the respiratory and immunology side. Just a little bit more about Great Place to Work, because it is really important to me. What does that mean, right? We can say that, but what does it really mean? So for us at AstraZeneca, it's important that we focus on inclusion and diversity within our teams. We really want to have diverse thought and background and experience to help us be even stronger as an organization. That culture of inclusion and diversity is really important at AZ, and I know that people like to work there for that reason. The other thing is we want to contribute to society, right? I want to work for a company that contributes to society, that helps patients, and so that's something that we do as well. And so I'm very proud to say I work at AstraZeneca, and it is a great place to work. So a little bit about Access 360. I mentioned this before. So how do we innovate to support patients? I talked a little bit about how we innovate to bring new science and medicines to patients, but that's great. Once a patient's been prescribed a medicine, how do we continue to innovate to help them? So I'm going to talk through that just a little bit. Now, I think there's probably a varying level of understanding or awareness of our programs, so I'll just kind of talk about those broadly for you. Access 360, that's kind of the name of our hub. You guys will hear it called a hub in the marketplace. You probably use that term. So think of that as the central point. But we have many teams behind the scenes that the hub works with in order to support patients. So at the top, we have medical and business services, and these are any types of inquiries. We have a team that if you have a question about a medicine, if there's an adverse event or a product quality complaint that needs to be reported, you can contact this team, our medical and business services team, and they'll help to support you with your questions. They do the intake of those adverse events and product quality complaints and so forth. Additionally, we have nurse support education programs for patients. And this is one of the areas where we've really innovated lately, especially since there's been a push to more digital interaction. So we have some products that are self-administered injectables, and we find that when a patient is home and they're going to do that injection for the first time, sometimes they like a little bit of support. So we do have programs available in those cases where they can speak to a nurse, do a telehealth visit, and ask questions and things like that. So that's what that team does. You heard me talk about the field reimbursement managers. They are a key part of how we support patients. So it's really the partnership between Access 360, which is our hub team, and the FRM team. That combo is really key to supporting patients and why our internal programs work so well for us. And then finally, you can see affordability in the lower left-hand corner. So we want to make sure that affordability is not a barrier to access for patients, right? So we have different types of programs, and every patient is different, so we need to have different options. We have copay support programs for our commercially insured patients. We're able to connect patients to independent nonprofit, a list of independent nonprofit organizations, if that's a way that they need to get support. We also have a patient assistance program, it's called AZ and Me. And this is for patients that have no insurance coverage or their insurance is not going to cover them for one reason or another. Okay, so moving on. Just a little bit more about our services. So this is kind of our wheel of support. These are all the different options that are available through our program at Access 360. Now, these services are optional and a la carte. So what does that mean? Our programs are not mandatory, they're not required in order for a patient to access a product, but they are available in there. So as you all know, as healthcare advocates, every patient is different, right? Every coverage is different. You could have 2 United Healthcare insurance cards, right, for 2 different patients, and they can have totally different coverage. So these are a la carte, and you're the advocate or the biologics coordinator, so you can say to Access 360, you know what, I don't need any type of pharmacy coordination support. I just need some support with a benefits investigation, for example. So you can kind of come in and access any of these services anytime you want, depending on the needs of the patient. And again, each patient is different. Okay, so I heard Elizabeth talking earlier about the importance of sharing information with your manufacturer partners, and it's important to do that, and it is, because we definitely listen. So we look at what's happening in the marketplace all of the time to figure out how do we need to continue to evolve these programs to support patients. So we do that a couple of different ways. We do market research. We go out there and kind of look at what's happening. We talk to patients, and very importantly, we talk to advocates like yourselves. And we want to know, how do we make this better, right? You're the end user of all of these programs. You're there to support patients day in and day out. So it's important that we hear from you on how to make things better. And so we talk about innovation, and a lot of people think about technology initially as innovation. But innovation is a lot more than just technology, right? We can innovate by evolving the way our teams are structured. We can innovate by changing processes. And of course, we can innovate by implementing technology, which we're always trying to do to make things happen more quickly, to streamline things. And so it's very important that you share that information. At AstraZeneca, part of our yearly process is we engage with customers like yourselves on a regular basis. Anytime we're creating a new service, anytime we want to get feedback on what's happening out there from a copay perspective, what are you hearing about in terms of access challenges, let us know. And sometimes it's as simple as updating a process. Oh, well, we have an extra step here. Let's just take that out. So it could be as simple as that, all the way down to, we partner with EMR vendors and other vendors that we build integrations with to enable access to our programs within your workflow. So we obviously want to try to meet you where you are in your workflow and not have to have you leave your workflow to come find support. So we're always looking at ways to integrate to do that. But it is important, I would just ask, please share, because we do take it seriously, and we have made many enhancements based on feedback from individuals like yourselves. So if you take a quick look at these market trends, right, we know all of this is happening. I'm going to focus in on a couple of them just for the last few minutes here. The pandemic, we all know what the pandemic has done to healthcare, right? We all moved our teams virtually, and I'm speaking for myself, probably not all of you, but we moved our teams virtually very quickly. So all of our hub agents are able to work from anywhere based on the technology that we have. So we were able to adjust and not miss a beat. Additionally, the field reimbursement team really made some adjustments as well. They're not able to go in and see customers the same way, but the customers and your offices still want to meet with them. So we're doing that virtually. And as I mentioned earlier, the nurse support offerings. We as patients ourselves know that I want to text. My CVS texts me, I'm going to respond to it. If they call me on the telephone, I'm probably not going to answer it. So great. Being patients ourselves, let's figure out the best way to communicate digitally with you and with the patients. And then, like I said, the nursing offerings and doing sort of those virtual visits is another way that we've done that. Awesome. The last thing I'll talk about is the patients and how they really now are becoming a part of their healthcare. And I think all of you are hearing this, and it's a good thing, right? They have access to information, they're more educated, and they're advocating for themselves, which I think is fantastic. So all in all, innovation is very important to us, right? As I said, it's not just technology, it's the way our teams are built to support your offices and customers. It's process. So continue to share information with us. However you can do it, get it to Elizabeth, get it to Melissa. They know how to reach us. Melissa will text and say, oh my goodness, this great idea. We can make that happen. So please share with us, because at the end of the day, we put patients at the center of everything that we do. And honestly, once a clinical decision to prescribe one of our medicines has been made, I want to try to remove every barrier between that patient and them getting their medicine. And then once they start the medicine, we want to help them stay on the medicine and experience the benefits of that. So thank you very much for your time today. I am so looking forward to meeting and talking to many of you. So thank you very much.